Today we're talking about Star Wars Volume 6 and the latest episode of Star Wars Resistance, The Core Problem, and does Ben hate BB-8 more than Jar Jar? You can find out on today's episode of Certain Point of View. Hey Nerf Herders, I'm Addy Thomas.
And I am Ben Milton.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Certain Point of View. It's your first steps into the Star Wars galaxy, but it's also sort of a sometimes Star Wars podcast. But today we actually are talking all Star Wars today. So, sometimes we talk about what we care about outside of Star Wars as well. But today we've got some Star Wars content for you. Before we get any further, though, I do want to encourage you to check out the Scruffy Nerf Herders. It is a Star Wars D20 show. Ben and I are on it. Our buddy J Mike, Case is our dungeon master, and we just go through. If you want like just a crazy, irreverent adventure in the Star Wars galaxy, that is your show. If you want us making references to all sorts of stuff, even outside of Star Wars, it's just a fun time as our band of terrible rebels just stumble our way through the Star Wars galaxy.
It's almost like if Robot Chicken made a D20 game in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, but with not quite as good writing.
I don't know. There's some pretty amazing moments.
Case is good. The other three of us, I mean, we got one person.
I think you're overestimating how good
Robot
Chicken is. I've been binge watching it lately,
yeah.
And I'm like, a lot of these episodes are just really, really weird.
Oh, for sure.
They're great. I love them, but yeah, I think you're underestimating just how amazing Scruffy is.
Okay, that's fair. I think you'd have a great time listening to it. You can check it out on our website, along with other podcasts that are part of the Certain Point of View family. It's all on our website, certainpov.com. So let's go ahead and get started with today's episode. We're going to go ahead and get kicked off with the most recent content, and that's actually the most recent episode of Star Wars Resistance. So so Ben and I both just watched it, not like maybe a couple hours ago. The Core Problem. It's the most recent episode of Star Wars Resistance, and in it we have Poe Dameron join up with Kazuto, and they are able to figure out that there is sort of like on a star map. They're able to plot out some of the First Order's positioning, and they're able to figure out that they need to check out something in a particular area. And when they get there, they find a drained sun, they find dead systems, they find dead planets, and cored out planets as well, and stars. So it is just the remnants of an old system, which, cool thing is we have basically a system that was tested on by Starkiller Base. So as Starkiller Base is, I imagine in the next episode or two, we're going to maybe even see some moments from The Force Awakens in Star Wars Resistance. But we're getting very, very close to this because we also know that right now Poe is on his way to Jakku. He just picked up BB-8 and...
Hallelujah! I was waiting for you to get to that part.
I should have sent you the teaser for it last week because you would have celebrated.
Oh my god!
Because the teaser was literally like Poe came back and he even mentioned, "Hey, I got to take BB-8. I got to head to Jakku." So, yeah, you're not a well. You know what? Let's get right to the BB-8 thing.
Sure.
You don't like BB-8.
I like BB-8. I don't like him as much as R2. And here's my problem with BB-8 and how he's being used. He's being used as a cheat code.
Yeah.
Just in the same way that Lucas used R2 in the prequels.
Sure.
Like all of a sudden this little droid whose only job, his only creation and point in existence is to be able to assist flying a ship.
Yeah.
Suddenly he's like a combat wizard, and he's got like all of these tools and gadgets that don't make any sense, and he's able to do all these incredible things. And I'm okay with some of that, but I feel like they've gone to that well too many times.
So I do want to kind of take a moment on that because Do you think they've actually created more tools for him? That seems to be a symptom of R2.
R2, they definitely get started there.
Right, whereas BB-8, while he definitely accomplishes a lot, I have yet to see them really unravel, like, show more tools than what they showed us in Force Awakens. Like, you got his little grappling,
Yeah, I'm still unclear as to why he has those, for what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, to secure him, like, I guess, to tow something. Like, if he needs to just tow a little object.
While he's, like, stuck in the back of a X-Wing.
Well, he's also there for repairs and stuff and move around and other stuff.
I guess, yeah, he does do some for repairs. Okay, yeah, I guess. No, but he's wicked smart.
Yeah, like, very, very
he's
smart.
Wicked smart, where, like, he's, like, reading people's and like, with intuition about, like, whether or not the smuggler or the pirate girl was somebody they could trust.
Yeah.
Like, they lean too heavily on that. Like, I don't know. But I'm softening a little bit on that stance after reading the annual.
Yeah.
The R2 annual, in particular, the one about R2.
Yeah.
And about how like, they do develop personalities, and you have to wipe them every once in a while to clear that out.
Exactly.
They don't operate. So here's the problem, though. Like, according to that, they don't operate well if you don't wipe their memories after a while, and they get attached to different people and droids.
R2.
Unless you're R2 or BB-8.
Yeah.
Then they work even better.
Right.
Which is not how computer programming works.
Right.
That isn't how that's supposed to happen. But, whatever. Yeah, I'm glad to see him gone. I mean, my other problem with that is that he's been with Kaz. I feels like he's been with Kaz longer than he's been with
with Poe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
he's supposed to be Poe's droid, and Poe's always doesn't have him with him. So it's nice that Poe's like, hey, I'm coming to get my droid back.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, when we see him in the comics, he has him a lot.
Yeah, but not always.
Yeah, not always. It seems to be this period of time where he's left him with Kaz.
Yeah.
Because I think he realizes BB-8's a little bit more reliable than Kaz.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Kaz is horrible.
I mean, to be fair, the spy network that 3PO has in place does make sense that it's mostly droids.
Yeah.
As well. So
sure, they're reliable.
Yeah.
Because they do a task and they do it well.
And people are more willing to ignore them as well. You know. So it kind of makes sense that really Kaz is there to just make sure BB-8 is on task.
Make sure nothing happens to the droids.
Right. Yeah, so then on top of this, we had some fun action with a gravity well.
Yeah.
And then we also had some dogfighting, and we also saw a planet that was just completely wiped out by the First Order as well. So what are your thoughts with this?
It's nice. It's nice seeing the First Order in action, on a grander scale than what we've been exposed to thus far.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that they've been playing out in the outer rim and outer reaches of the galaxy.
The unknown regions, yeah.
And that's where they've been forming up and testing and invading and doing all that stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of been mentioned, and it's the thing right now I'm most obsessed with in Star Wars right now is the unknown regions, especially because I know Thrawn and the Chiss Ascendancy are out there, and it seems to be like they're scared of something bigger. That they're willing, that they want to ally with at one point with the Empire to deal with that threat. So when will we find that out? Is that something that's already actually been dealt with? Is the other thing, because we don't actually know if that's something that's been dealt with in between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens. That whole threat could have already been addressed. Because right now, I wonder, I go back to this well all the time, but I really want to know what's happening with Ahsoka and Sabine.
Right.
And when are we going to see anything with that? And in what form, Is that something that's going to be post-Episode 9? That threat? Or are they even connected to that threat? What
are we going to get it in The Mandalorian? Right.
Is The Mandalorian going to have something? When are we going to see the continuation of Thrawn and Ezra? Because we know Thrawn isn't dead. We know Ezra is not done. We know those stories aren't done. So I'm excited about seeing those stories. I'm enjoying Resistance a lot. But I am starting to. I'm getting a little bit more antsy. I'm like, I want my
enough teasing.
I want my Ahsoka Sabine, journey through the galaxy right now.
Well, I think you have to establish what it is first.
Yeah,
and they're still doing some establishing.
Do you think that's something that is going to be on Resistance? Because it almost feels. I mean, who knows what the story they're going to tell there is, but it almost feels like it's two separate things altogether.
I think it could tie in together because they are already on the Outer Rim.
Yeah.
And they keep talking about things that are happening in the unknown regions and going to the unknown regions and stuff like that. So yeah, I think we'll get more. I don't think we'll get it in the first 2 seasons, maybe season 3.
Yeah.
When they roll it out, because I think right now this first season is all about establishing who the characters are and where they are in the universe.
Yeah.
Season
and how
2,
they feel about the various factions.
Season 2 will be a lot more moving parts and what's actually going on, and some more world building out from the platform.
Right.
And then from there, then you can in season 3 or 4, move on to the bigger threat. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, and I also feel like some of that storytelling might be hampered a little bit by like waiting to let JJ finish up episode 9 so that they have a definitive endpoint to that. Right. They don't end up like
stepping on each other's toes.
Exactly. So
yeah, I think that's out there too. But I also feel like you also don't want to bring in Ahsoka and Sabine into this show
because they're
going to
overshadow it.
Yeah,
in the same way that you couldn't bring Luke too early into Force Awakens,
right?
Because then it would have taken everything away from Rey and from Finn, and
you're trying to establish
Kylo.
These new characters, and make people care about them. So
exactly. So well, cool.
I wonder. Here's my question: do you think we'll get even a hint of it in the last season of Clone Wars?
That's a good question. I think we're gonna get wrap up in Clone Wars. I don't imagine. The only way I think we would have gotten a hint of it is if they saved the content for the Thrawn novel, the second Thrawn novel, the one with him and Anakin during the Clone Wars, when he first visits tries to join up with the Republic. I think if they had saved that for that, maybe. But I think there's so many other stuff that they're just, hey, let's give everybody the wrap up to Clone Wars that it deserved. I don't think they're gonna plant any of that in there. I think Mandalorian will have details like that, plant certain things. Just
I think
that's headed to the unknown regions.
Yeah, I think that's a possibility. I also think that I think you could do it in Clone Wars.
Absolutely,
because you have Palpatine. Wrapping up Palpatine's story and what Palpatine knows about what's going on in the Outer Rim. Yeah,
do you think maybe find out about that whole expedition he sends out? Although, but that's during him as Emperor, not as Chancellor. I guess he could find out. He could discover something. So that way
it only has to be a hint about what's out there.
Right, that way
I don't know that. Yeah, you're going to get deep story, but
and you may not even recognize it as a hint of it. It could be just something that's like
a throwaway line. Yeah,
right. Yeah, or just a throwaway event, but then you come down later and you realize, holy shit, yeah, that connects back. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because to be perfectly honest, that kind of stuff could have already been in Clone Wars by this point, actually.
Yeah, if they were thinking that far ahead. I doubt they were.
I don't think so either. Yeah. I don't think so either. Unless they just decide to take this and kind of work it together. We've seen them, do that kind of thing before, where they can take because you have stuff with some of the more mystical stuff that went on in Clone Wars,
right?
Especially with the Night Sisters. You also had the thing with the Zillo Beast, which was their Godzilla story arc that they had. They can kind of connect some of that back,
right?
So there. I mean, there's stuff here and there. There are other species and civilizations that we've seen here and there. So that potentially you could always make connections here and there.
Yeah, that could work.
So go ahead. Let's go ahead and start talking about Star Wars Volume 6 as we continue our project of catching up on all of the Star Wars comics as best as we can. So Volume 6, we got a lot of individual stories about various members of the Rebellion. And there were some really fun ones in them. Some of them were okay.
Yeah.
I actually really liked the first one a lot.
Refresh my memory.
So
they're all blurring together.
They blur together right now. So the first one was the adventure that Luke and Leia go on, where they're stuck on that little planet, that island planet, and they have to survive, but then they also have to take on the Empire, and they're able to kind of work like it shows they're both of them, their ability to survive.
Right.
Even without being able to use, necessarily force powers in the way that we are kind of used to. So it was it was sort of like a Castaway meets Star Wars meets like more. I guess actually more Swiss Family Robinson really is what it was.
Swiss Family Skywalker.
Yes, Swiss Family Skywalker. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, this one was a fun one. When I saw them landing on the planet, a water planet with just an island, I was like, "Oh my god, is this where Luke ends up hiding? Is that where they're going?"
Oh yeah,
that's a little too. It's a little too on the nose.
Yeah. I would have not been as happy with that.
But it wasn't that, which was good. It was cool seeing the underwater people.
Yeah, right.
Mer people are cool.
I like seeing new species in Star Wars. It's nice when they take the time. Like, not just to play the nostalgia card and put something that's familiar to us, but to throw in, something new here and there.
Right. Yeah, so this was a fun episode, and I like that it was told from... What was interesting about all these in the annual was that, like, they're all told from a specific character's point of view, and you get thought bubbles from them.
Because you have Leia's
narrating
perspective.
Yeah, and this one you have Leia's perspective, and it's really interesting, like, just her, like, enjoying... this process, this situation that they're in, which was really interesting. And then learning that they both were runaways as kids. They both wanted to run away and did run away.
Yeah, you start making the connections between them as siblings here.
Yeah,
which was nice.
Yeah, it was a good, really good one. Yeah.
Big fan of also the second issue is that we had Sana Starros and Lando team up, but particularly Sana. Playing like
everybody
was absolutely fun to see because it's almost, I don't know what it is the underworld of Star Wars just really, there's something special about that. I don't know, but just being able to have these kind of like I don't know how to describe. I guess it's a heist story ultimately, right? I don't know how you describe.
I mean, it's a heist with like a quadruple cross.
Yeah, exactly. But I like having that kind of fun adventure storytelling. And it's what appeals, like what we've talked a lot about Dr. Aphra, like that kind of storytelling. It's what Han started out as, especially. That kind of, obviously over time as he gets more...
codified.
He's part of the rebellion, even if he doesn't want to admit it.
Yeah.
He kind of loses that edge a little bit.
He gets it back in The Force Awakens.
He does a little bit, but it doesn't fully feel that way. Do you think? Not a complaint because I didn't need it to be that because he's a character who grows.
I feel like he does go back to his roots by The Force Awakens, and he's just out. He and Chewie are out smuggling, doing stupid stuff, getting caught.
That's true.
For being, this is the thing that's always bothered me a lot about.
That's true. The Kenja Club stuff and everything. Yeah,
he gets caught every damn time. He's for being a renowned smuggler.
He's one of the worst.
Sucks at it. And you get to see just how good Sana is at it in this episode. To bring it back to the comic book, because she plays everybody perfectly.
Yeah.
So that's how I imagine Han Solo should be portrayed.
Right.
But oftentimes he's just not. He's just always like somebody's always figured out and is after him. Or, you owe somebody money because you screwed somebody over. And we'll get to that episode.
He screws so many people over. Like he's just now nobody trusts him anyway.
Yeah. And so that by the time you get to The Force Awakens, like he and Chewie are just like etching out an existence. It feels like because nobody trusts them anymore.
And because in fact, Sana does a good job at eliminating the people who wouldn't trust her anymore.
Right.
which is a huge plus to her.
Yeah. And what's nice is she doesn't even get her hands dirty to do it. as a good smuggler shouldn't.
Right.
She has her next victim
Yeah.
do it for her,
That's
which is genius, absolutely genius. It plays kind of like you said, like a heist movie, like a Ocean's movie.
Yeah.
It feels a little bit like that, where they're constantly one step ahead of everybody, and you're just like being surprised along the way.
Yeah,
it's good. I really that one was maybe my favorite episode. Yeah.
Well, then that follows up with an issue with Han and Chewie and Gracchus the Hutt, who we saw a while back when he was in charge. When he was imprisoned, and he was a source for. I think we saw him in Poe's series. Because they have to go and get information from Gracchus, and it's that planet that has the forced gravity bubble, like the bubble that's protected, but there are no guards, but there's just everybody.
If you leave that bubble, you're dead.
Right, because the gravity will just destroy
Crush you. Yeah.
And Gracchus is the buffest Hutt ever.
He should have a tattoo that says "I love Mom."
Yeah,
and a boat anchor.
He reminds me of the old Kingpin, the one that would hug you to death.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a fun story. You know, speaking of Han getting a chance to be brilliant, it was nice restoring a little bit of that to him.
Yeah.
But getting a chance to fool Gracchus and get some information out of him for the rebellion. So that was cool. I think, but
no, they got more than just information. They got his entire stash of weapons and
it's a huge asset for the rebellion. I guess for me, what stands out in that episode though was just Buff Hutt, basically.
Yeah. I mean, the Hutts are cool.
Yeah,
I like the different Hutts.
Yeah,
I do like the different Hutts.
I like how different the personalities for each Hutt has been. Like Jabba. Yeah. It isn't that Jabba's definitely the template, but they've been willing to like go out
because you have like that really like flamboyant one. That one, he's amazing. I love that one. I can't remember his name.
I have his name right on the tip of my tongue, but he's in Clone Wars and he's in the Clone Wars movie, the one that started off kicked off the series as well. So
he's great.
I don't know why he can't.
It'll come to me.
Not Gordola. But it's somebody. And so of course we had Gracchus in this one, who's a fun one too to add to the mix. I feel like this is a terrible idea, but I could almost
Zero.
Oh yeah, that's right, it's Zero the Hutt. I feel like we could almost see like a Medea set of movies with Hutts. Tyler Perry plays all the different Hutts.
Plays a Hutt. I mean,
or all the Hutts.
It is basically a Medea. I might actually start watching Medea movies and just pretend they're Hutts. Just pretend Medea's a Hutt, and I might enjoy them.
Right.
It might take the bigotry out of that movie franchise for me.
Right. Oh man! All right, so moving on. The next issue we have we're continuing these one-offs with different characters that are part of the rebellion, but this one's with R2, and R2 it actually continues a story that 3PO was kidnapped recently, and he's under
Imperial Guard.
Yeah, he's under Imperial Guard. He's on the Executor.
Yeah.
He is on Vader's Star Destroyer. So R2 goes on his own. The one droid
totally BB-8's this one.
He does. He really does. He is. I mean, some of it's pretty brilliant, but I will say here's the one thing I will give him credit for is fooling the two squads of Imperials.
To shoot each other
was maybe my favorite moment of the entire issue.
I liked when they captured the K2SO looking droid.
Oh yeah,
and they're just like whatever, just shoot it.
We can't trust them all.
He's got him so flabbergasted that he just kills him.
Yeah, that's actually true. Yeah, that was pretty
while
fun.
He just goes rolling by.
Yeah,
and doesn't say anything. Yeah. Yeah, this one does a little bit too much for R2 for me.
Well, it's the droid ex machina aspect of Star Wars.
Yeah.
I mean, and last minute they do get rescued by Luke and the rebellion. to be able to make the final escape. They aren't able to, like, because, you know, there's a point where they're being chased by Vader, and it really would have hurt Vader's reputation if R2 was able to escape him.
Yeah. I mean, they give him the throwaway line of, like, wow, whoever taught this droid how to fly.
Yeah, right?
Like, I'm also still unclear, like, why Vader doesn't recognize 3PO.
I think he does. I feel like he has to, right? Does he? But
because he doesn't have to, because they all do kind of look the same, and he gets upgraded along the way. He made 3PO, and they have adventures together.
Like that.
They're around. He's around Padme all the time.
So here's the thing, and maybe, like, I know it's not canon anymore.
Yeah.
But there used to be. I remember one of the first Star Wars comics I ever read. It was part of an omnibus, and in it, they have it's when 3PO is on Cloud City, and, you know, he gets, like, completely destroyed by the Ugnaughts and everything.
Yeah.
Or I guess by the Imperials there and everything.
Yeah, it gets broken apart.
Right.
Chewie puts his head on backwards.
Yeah, but so in between Chewie finding the parts and him being destroyed, they have a moment, like, where Vader, the soldiers tell him, hey, we have this droid, he's known to be part of, you know, the Rebel Alliance, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And, like, they even have a moment with him, like, that's kind of like...
holding the skull, like...
Yeah, like, totally like a Hamlet moment. But it is sort of like, there is, like, an Anakin, like, him remembering and thinking about 3PO and recognizing it, and then putting him, you know, like, then making the orders to, like, okay...
melt it down.
But, well, no, not to actually melt him down, but to put him there, and try to have Chewie run, like, arrange for Chewie to find him type of thing. So it was sort of like, yeah, it was one of those, like, really forced types of things. It's not great, but it's also sort of kind of like an interesting, like, oh, he recognizes 3PO, you know? Like, at least, like, it doesn't feel like, yes, I know that there are plenty of other protocol droids, and I guess at the end of the day, maybe we give Anakin too much credit for creating 3PO,
right?
Because clearly he just used a template.
Right.
He clearly, like, downloaded some instructions off the HoloNet or something to create your own protocol droid.
Right.
And sure, yes, it's complicated and everything, you know. But there is he looks exactly like the protocol droid you see right at the beginning of Phantom Menace. So
yeah.
So
yeah, that's a tough one to know whether or not he should know him or not. And even if he does recognize him, would Vader care? Like, at that point, by then Vader is so repressed.
Yeah, I think
Anakin is so repressed.
I think based on what we read in the Charles Soule Vader series, where he, like, in that last issue where he, like, does kind of finally divorce himself of Padme in some ways, and from all the everything that was himself,
right,
and truly become that like cold hatred. I think any affection for R2 and 3PO disappears with that.
Right, because if he doesn't stop and not kill, and it's not like he's willing to kill Ahsoka.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he
has to be willing to get rid of
a droid. Which is funny because he's, like, done crazy stuff to rescue R2 in the Clone Wars.
Right.
So, but absolutely, like, the moment mentioning Ahsoka, I think, is the perfect comparison, because you put him on that level that everything that he's ever loved is finally,
purged from him. Yeah,
exactly. Then we move on to another issue featuring Scar Squadron.
Yay!
The super badass squadron of Imperials. It was nice seeing that Sergeant Creel interact with Vader, and also with the Empire, with the Emperor. I love, like, the Emperor was just kind of like,
whatever,
whoever you are, and this trooper is just like a total fanboy.
My knees got weak. So lame.
It was, but
cool.
Yeah. That being said, like, I love seeing the perspective from Scar Squadron. I love how they are such believers in the Empire.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I've also liked about a few moments on Resistance, where they've kind of established why some people would be okay with the First Order.
Right.
And what they bring to the galaxy. So like it really like I like that if it almost feels like you're watching Imperial propaganda.
Yeah.
When you're reading it, and like because you even have like the hero shots for the like a stormtrooper with a lightsaber and a jetpack.
You're getting the MSNBC Fox News version
yes, exactly.
of what's happening.
Exactly. Move on to another issue where we had basically just an issue about the Sand People and the way they live. And then it kind of ends that you find out that it's Obi-Wan who's narrating it, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, it was a nice look at the Tuskens and their lives and what it's like to be a Tusken Raider.
Yeah, it was a nice little one-off. So, and then we wrap up with an annual featuring Han and Leia and another one of the thousands of people that Han has made an enemy of. In past years, it was a fun issue, I guess. The villain was I thought the villain was kind of interesting, with his burn to kill Solo, and I did like him sort of like ending up frozen, his final fate. Otherwise, I'd say it's a fairly forgettable story.
It's super forgettable.
Yeah.
It's just another episode of somebody that Han burnt and is trying to get revenge on him.
Yeah. And it continuing sort of romantic tension between him and Leia.
Yeah,
so.
it's fun, but it's forgettable.
Yeah. So, you have any other comments?
I mean, all in all, I would say like this annual's like an 8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
Like I liked a lot of it. There's nothing earth-shattering in it.
Right.
There's nothing spectacular where I was just like, oh my god, this like really matters in the Star Wars universe. There's nothing in there like that, but it's a thoroughly enjoyable read and fun. I didn't love the art in a lot of the books.
Oh yeah,
like the photorealism.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the photorealism look. The annual had probably my favorite art of any of these issues, because that was the one that wasn't photorealistic. I like that more, like slightly more cartoonish look.
Yeah, I do too.
So.
Yeah,
and then sort of the flat look, but yeah, when like it's there's something sort of unsettling about comics looking a little too much like Mark Hamill,
or not enough like Mark Hamill.
Yeah,
it's like I don't know where they went. It's like when somebody gets a bad nose job or bad plastic surgery, and you're just like,
that's the perfect way to describe it.
That's not what a person looks like,
right? That's why I'm not a huge fan of Alex Ross either.
Yeah,
because I don't like my comics to try to look too real.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd
read a Time magazine or something.
Yeah, exactly. I guess, or
National Geographic, right? Popular Science, highlights.
Yeah, exactly.
These are all these. I'm just naming off all of the magazines I know.
Right.
Better Homes and Gardens.
Yeah, it almost feels like I don't know what it is. It just doesn't quite work for me.
Yeah, it doesn't work for me either. It's not my favorite art style. I mean, it's impressive. They do a great job.
Oh yeah.
It just doesn't connect with me.
Yeah, they're amazing artists. By
talented
by
people.
Means.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it doesn't tell the story quite the same way from like it takes me out of the story.
Exactly. So I think that about wraps us up for today's episode. We figured out that you don't totally hate BB-8. So here's the thing: BB-8 or Jar Jar. Who do you? If you had to decide, no, don't you hit that soundboard. Don't you hit that soundboard. You have to make a decision. That just sounds like a creaky wheel.
It does.
That doesn't sound like a cricket. No, but we need a decision from you. Who's worse, BB-8 or Jar Jar?
Here's the thing. Like, to me, they're both the same. Like, to me, they're just a character that's involved to be a plot device for something else to happen.
Sure.
Like, the Emperor uses Jar Jar to make his ascendancy into what, into the Emperor. Everybody uses it, or a lot of people use BB-8 to survive whatever trap they're in. Like, that's really all they're there for. They're just like plot immunity devices in a lot of ways.
That's true. Yeah, you can see the plot armor on BB-8.
On both of them, yeah.
And on Jar Jar, too. Mm-hmm. Especially the way he flops around during the Battle of Naboo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, I think, what takes... Like, I'm all right with a character being clumsy and kid-friendly. I think...
But incompetent.
Yeah.
To the point of...
Although, I don't know. Like, 3PO is in that category, too, at times.
Yes, yeah.
So,
yeah.
So, and 3PO never bothered me. I wonder what it is.
It did bother me when they... In that droid fight on Geonosis.
Oh, so... Okay, but let me ask you this. Is there any part of that bothers you in the original trilogy? I agree with you about Geonosis. Geonosis is a mess. The droid factory is the worst thing ever.
No, in the... Well, you don't get that from the droids in the original trilogy too much, do you?
Well, they're kind of running all over the... Like, I mean, they run through a hall... Like, your opening scene for Star Wars...
Oh, is them just running by and not getting shot?
Yeah, like, that kind of sets the tone for the droids pretty early on. You know, and that, like...
But it's also because... But I also think it sets the tone for, like, what...
Jabba's sail barge.
Oh, yeah, the Jabba sail barge is a mess.
Yeah.
The Ewoks is kind of a mess. Yeah. 3PO definitely has a little...
Yeah, R2, you don't feel it as much. R2 does have the moment where he's spit out by that monster in the... which is one of my favorite moments.
All that R2 really does in that scene, though, is he shoots the lightsaber out of his head.
Yeah, no, I don't have a problem with R2
pushes
shooting
a guy
the
off,
lightsaber.
and he pushes a guy off the barge.
That's right. Well, and he also pushes 3PO off when they need to get rescued and all that.
Right.
Like, they're played up for comedy. Like, they are, I mean, Laurel and Hardy is who they were.
Yeah.
They were,
modeled after, yeah. But they don't play quite that comedically buffoonish like Jar Jar does.
Right.
Like, in Jar Jar has... In the big fight on Naboo, like he's like bumbling guns and dropping things, and
it's
it
Three
works,
Stooges,
and it works out perfectly every time,
right?
Like that I'm not crazy about, but I get again, like this is for kids and like that kind of slapstick humor,
because it was interesting.
Goes a long way.
I was listening to, I think it was Coffee with Kenobi, and the host kind of compared Kaz's character to basically like Buster Keaton.
Yeah.
So he's very, obviously they have super physical comedy. He's, dropping everything, but still.
And we saw it in this episode too. He shoots the droid by accident.
Right. The probe, the Imperial probe or the First Order probe droid.
Yeah.
So which is a little bit more upgraded.
Yeah, it's got kids.
Right. Kind of makes it like it kind of worked.
Yeah, it was a little more frightening.
Yeah, I liked what they did with it. So I'm still enjoying it. It's very interesting since that is something that especially has been highlighted since The Last Jedi is what is the sense of humor for Star Wars.
Yeah.
And in some ways I think it's also a conversation you can have based on what happened with the Han Solo movie with Lord and Miller.
Yeah.
Cuz you could see them veering not just into that territory like getting meta too with Han. They totally you could totally see them doing that. Which I still stand by. I would love to see Lord and Miller do something in Star Wars, but do something with Star Wars animation rather than in live action. I think their process is better lent to animation than to blockbuster live action. So, hopefully,
I don't think we'll see them work with Star Wars again.
I think Kathleen Kennedy would have to be gone for that. I think she would have retired.
If I had to choose between the two, I'll take Kathleen Kennedy.
I'll take Kathleen Kennedy in a heartbeat, yeah. But after she retires, like, there's no reason to say, hey, guys, let's take another swing at this.
We'll see.
So I think that kind of wraps it up for us. So we'll of course, continue our reviews of Star Wars Resistance as I think we're maybe 3 or 4 episodes away from the end of the season right now.
Yeah, it feels like it's wrapping up soon.
Yeah, so we should be getting pretty close to some of that. And then, of course, we'll continue our reading of the Star Wars comics. We're probably also going to be talking about Dragon Prince on Netflix, one of our favorite original cartoons that's on Netflix. It's produced by Giancarlo Volpe. Aaron, these are guys who worked on Avatar: The Last Airbender. Giancarlo Volpe also worked on the Green Lantern animated series. So, he also worked on episodes of Clone Wars. So these are
super talented.
Yeah, and this is some excellent storytelling. Stylistically, the animation's very much like Star Wars Resistance as well. And it is a great fantasy story. So definitely recommend checking that series out if you haven't already, because I'm sure we're going to be talking about that fairly soon as well. So if you want to enjoy that conversation a little bit more, I definitely recommend it. And it's not a lot of episodes either. Like, really, it's basically 2 movies if you really look at the length of them, because they're 20-minute episodes.
Yeah.
So, again, you can check those out on Netflix. And, of course, you can check out all of our other podcasts that are part of the Certain Point of View family on our website at certainpov.com. And what we really appreciate is if you do some, if you leave us some reviews. And actually, I do want to mention something that I'm really excited about, is our new social media giveaway. Because if you share posts with the hashtag of Nerd Pride, showing, just kind of the things that you use to express yourself as a nerd. For me, I think a lot of that is in my decorations and the stickers and the little figures I buy at cons or T-shirts or whatever. Share those with us. We'd love to know what you like about it, what resonated with you. We'll be sharing some of our own as well. And if you do that with the Nerd Pride hashtag, you'll get a chance to win different prizes from us. Definitely from Certain Point of View, and potentially from some of the other podcasts that are part of the Certain Point of View family. And we're going to be sharing some of those with you. We'll let you know what some of those prizes are going to be based on the podcast, based on the content that we talk about. So be sure to keep an eye on all of that and to start sharing those posts, because I'd love to see what is a way that you represent yourself as a nerd. So I did a post recently where I have my little Han Solo dice hanging from my rear view mirror. That's one of my favorites. I love being able to, as I'm kind of trudging my way in the morning, get in the car as I'm on my way to work. It is nice seeing the little Han Solo dice every time there. Brightens me up just a little bit. So we'd love to see those posts again. Hashtag Nerd Pride. We're going to post up some more information about that giveaway real soon on our website, certainpov.com. And until next time, stay scruffy, my Nerf herder.